Hello dear students. Today I'm here to discuss on one of the very interesting and thought-provoking story prescribed for your syllabus to the course BA second semester, subject ability enhancement compulsory English under Karnataka University, Dharwad. And the story which I told you at the beginning is The Nightingale and the Rose, written by Oscar Wilde. First and foremost, I would like to, say a few important aspects of Oscar Wilde. As you might have heard about him, he is one of the major Irish literary figures to gain global renown. Figure. Born to intellectual parents in Dublin, he soon became a proficient classist, owing to his expertise in the ancient Greek and Roman literature, as well as, of course, philosophy. At the same time, he was also involved in the rise of aestheticism, which is considered aesthetic value of an artwork as more important than its social and political undertones. Owing to his wit and flamboyance, he soon became one of the most popular personalities of his time. In 1895, Wilde was imprisoned on the charge of gross indecency with men. When his homosexuality was proven in court upon his release in 1897, he moved to France, where he died 3 years later. Leave aside the things of his personal life, but as a writer, we need to be remembered because of his philosophical aspects was what he used to bring in almost all of his works. During his lifetime, Wilde became a very famous playwright and is best remembered for his play, The Importance of Being Earnest, and its a satirical study of the Victorian conventions. He is also famous for his many epigrams, such as "We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars," and his only novel, The Picture of Dorian Gray, where his ascetic philosophy finds expression. This is a very brief note on the playwright more than a storyteller, Oscar Wilde. Uh, the story which I would like to discuss, The Nightingale and the Rose. First and foremost, it is very significant to know, all the characters which appear in this particular story. Of course, as the title goes, the Nightingale might be, you might be thinking it might have played a very significant role in the story. I consider it as the protagonist of the story. No, she, Nightingale, is addressed by the writer as she. She is romantic by nature. She here means the Nightingale, and is inspired by students' love. In the story, at the beginning, you can see that the student came back to his home. And he surrounds in his own garden, and with a dull mood he came and sat on a bench under the tree where this nightingale was having its nest. And this nightingale has been observing the boy, and he can understand, he can study the internal aspects of the boy, and she started thinking that something goes wrong with this boy, and it tries to find out what might be the reason for it. And Nightingale came to know that the boy is in love with a girl, and until and unless a student here, the lover, you know until and unless he gets the red rose and give it to her, she rejects to dance in a ball, and he may unable to get the love of her. And he has been in search of the red rose in his garden, but he did not find a single red rose. With a great dull mood, as if he lost everything in the life. And the nightingale has been observing it, and it started thinking on the purity of the love, and how the love is greater than anything on this earth. And she sings about love all the time, and waits to see it. It even Nightingale is in search of the great love, and it has been singing on those love aspects, and it's been waiting. When she sees the student crying for red rose, and she decides to sacrifice her life to help him out. And how and what kind of sacrifice can the nightingale do for the sake of the love of this boy? It is the later part of the discussion in the story. And she gives her heart's blood to white rose to color its petals to fulfill the need of a student, and in this process she dies. The whole story revolves around her sacrifice and selfless nature, which is not appreciated throughout the story. And at the end of the story, her sacrifice is ignored and wasted by everyone when he red rose, stained by her heart's blood, which is rejected and destroyed. Her selfless nature and unshakable belief in true love shows that true does exist, but people make it selfish. What a beautiful remark you can see. Truth is existed, and it is eternal, undoubtedly, but the people, and for their selfishness, and for their because of their selfish deeds, they are going to turn the truth as lie, and they make the use of the truth for their purposes, and that is how the truth loses its significance, because of the people not originally it has not having having its own value. And this is what the nightingale's role in the whole story. It sacrifices at the cost of its life, at the cost of the lovers, the students love, it gives its life. No human being can do this. And we are like I remember some of the words of one famous quote of William Shakespeare's words. It always I remember, because we are so so casual to flow the words. We never or least bothered in flowing of the words, or giving the promises to someone, but are we really filling the life to the words and bringing them into the action? Most of the time we don't do, because we are very intellectual figures, and we are very intellectual animals on this earth. That's what. And the other character, the student, is the other character. As I told you, with respect to the Nightingale, he is a young boy with the beautiful, Oscar Wilde is. Wilde's, the strength lies in the narration and giving the beauty to the words. And he's a young boy. He never says that he's only a student or young boy. And how does he look? In the description itself, a reader can start imagining, and you can draw the figure when you read the lines. He's a young boy with beautiful eyes. You can imagine the beautiful eyes and red lips, with who claim to be in love with a girl. And in the very beginning of the story, the student appears as a true lover who laments in his garden for the love of his life. He inspires the bird to sacrifice her life to help him out, but as the story goes, we come to know about his true nature. He is preoccupied by practicality and lacks the ability to feel true emotions. When the girl rejects the red rose given by him, he calls her ungrateful, and suddenly all his love fades away. He decides that love is unpractical, unrealistic. It shows him as a materialistic person rather than a person who believes in love and selfishness. He does not appreciate Nightingale's sacrifice and does not fulfill her last wish, that was to be true to his love. The student, of course, how the Nightingale can understand and reads the mind and heart of a student. But student here stands as the representation of a human being, and Nightingale stands as the representation of all the creatures on this earth, excluding excluding the human beings. And student never understand the language. When the students sitting on the bench beneath that oak tree where this nightingale has its nest, and it came and flies in the surround of student, and it was actually saying in the story, and don't worry, and I definitely help you out to keep up your promise and gain your love, because in all these days I am singing on the love, and I am desperately trying to find a true lover, and I found you are the true lover, and I wanted to support you, and I never allow you to lose your love, and at the cost of my life I'm ready to give life to your love. This is what it says. But he never understand the language. That's how every creature on this earth, and even the nature, can speak to us. But the thing is, we should have that patience to listen to the nature and understand the language of the nature. Almost romantic writers, for that matter, even best known poet William Wordsworth, he found everything in nature. And he says an impulse of an vernal wood can teach thousands, saints and says can teach us. These lines always, very interesting line for me, because uh, even grass can speak to us, even a flower can speak to us, and even a small impulse, a very teeny piece of an wood can speak to us. and even it gives the greatest knowledge what the saints and seers can give. Not only one saint and seer, thousands together saint and seers, what the knowledge they can give it to us. And that kind of knowledge could be given by the nature, but we should have open heart to receive it and understand the language of it. And student did not understand because he is not the student here, he is representation of the human beings, and how we did not understand the language of anything except the human beings, and that's how he did not understand the language. But every creature and every animal and even part of nature cope up with our emotions and feelings. They react to our emotions, feelings. But what about us as human beings? I just put a question mark and leave the answer to you in your hands. Just think of what we are with respect to reacting to the emotions and feelings or the sacrifices made by this nature or the creatures of this earth. And this another character, rose tree. Of course, for this rose trees, we find a variety of rose trees, and here there are 3 rose trees which Nightingale met in with the request. Nightingale went to all the different colored rose trees for the sake of this boy. And every tree has its own unique feature in the production of the rose. And some first tree and it rejected because it is unable to give the red rose. It has that capacity, natural capacity, to produce the different color, white rose and another other one, yellow rose. This is how they never go against natural phenomena. Correct. I understand the rose trees reply to Nightingale in such a way. First rose tree, and it says that no, I don't want to. I'm unable to produce the red rose because my veins not supportive to that. That is. Nature has created everything in such a way that we have such a kind of chain, and if that chain breaks, and what happens, that's what today we all been witnessing for it. When we break the chain, we witness for storms, we witness for earthquakes, we witness for tsunami, we witness for heavy rain, and due to the heavy rain and even floods can occur and takes or the washes everything. And these just we should learn this particular commitment to the nature by, I think these trees can teach us in this story. And they don't want to break the chain, in the present scenario. I just put Nightingale as a person who is in need of something, and to get something they offer something. Generally we do. If we want something, we offer something else, and the person to whom we give offer, and they generally accept, okay, you give me that because that is more valuable. I'm ready to give whatever you want. But Nightingale gives offer. I can sing throughout the night, and I can ready to sing for you beautiful songs. This that. Of course, the rose feels very happy to listen to Nightingale, but sincerely reject that. I can't do it. Very sincere, and they never bend themselves because of the offerings, that we should learn from these trees. um, and this girl, a very interesting girl, and she appears at the end of the story, with whom this boy is in love. The girl is briefly, she came at the end of the story, in the climax part, I can say. She expresses an important theme here, and she's the student's sweetheart, beloved professor's daughter, to whom he wanted to offer in a rose, and get her hands to take and dance with her in the ball on that particular night. She tells the student to bring a red rose for her if he wants to dance with her. That's what the conversation took place between them. When the students bring her bright red rose, she rejects it because she is provided with the jewels by another rich suitor. This act of selfishness shows as a materialistic and shallow person who values wealth more than true love. Almost, it happens with all the men on this, with majority of the people, more than life, wealth matters, and more than life, property matters, and more than life, fame matters to many of us. But she girls stands as the representation of such men who values the money, property, or wealth than the emotions, feelings, love, sentiments, or the human values, and even in other context also, you can understand the character not committed and not promising character. She promised, actually she told that, no values to the world. If you bring the red rose, I'm ready to dance with you in the party. This is the statement or the words what she told to this boy. And with all hardships, he got the red rose in the morning. That rose is not an ordinary rose. It's very special because that rose is made up of the blood of Nightingale. When the rose made up in the morning, you can see on beneath the rose tree the dead body of Nightingale on the moonlight, as the red rose tree. When Nightingale went to the red rose tree and asked, I can sing for you and please give me the red rose, and it told very clearly. And due to the storm and chill in such kind of weather, and this particular nature or the weather is not comfortable for me to produce the red rose, and even because my buds closed and the veins are very tight, and unable to produce it. And Nightingale tells that, if is there any solution for it, I'm ready to do that. And rose tree told with the great agony, there is one solution, but it's so risky to you. Nightingale thought and told to all her friends that, to lizard and to oak tree, and they understood, and they actually tries to tell that why you want to give your life for the sake of that rose. And Nightingale was so committed. No, I promised to that boy, And don't cry, I'm ready to help you out. And even I found such a great or the true lover, how can I live like this? My life is, the love is greater than the life. This is the beautiful statement by Nightingale. I'm For me, the love should is love is eternal, not me. And today or tomorrow, I have to leave this world. I'm I'm mortal. I don't have a permanent place here. Today or tomorrow, I have to leave. Why can't today, because of this great love, it decides and go to the red rose, and as per the rose instruction on moonlit night, and throughout the night it has to sing melodiously, and on the other hand it has to pass the blood to the veins of red rose tree directly from its heart. Just imagine, passing the blood directly from the heart throughout the night. And my god, and that bird has to sing melodiously, and there is a great pain because it's losing its blood, and losing the blood is nothing but the losing the life. And on the one hand it's losing the life, on the other hand it's singing so melodiously. And whoever seen the scene, definitely it brings the tears in the eyes of readers, definitely. And such a great sacrifice it made, and this girl rejected so casually. No, and I got of jewels, and in fact that jewelry is so costly, and there you cannot compare the price of the jewels to this rose. And even that jewels goes with my dress, see. And that is how she expresses her very casual words. And this boy, and he, without knowing the value of that rose, he throws and come back. And these two people stands as the representation of the men, and who are very materialistic, selfish, and no values to, no sentiments, no emotions, no values in their life. And these two representation of the human beings, it's very clearly indicates in the poem. And all the parts of the nature, all creatures which appear in this story are the representation of the selfless, committed, very emotional, kind of character, creatures representation. And lizard is another character, and which had the conversation with Nightingale. And it tells that Nightingale and laughs at the boy, why this boy is crying like this. It make a fun of him, but Nightingale did not sustain that. You should not talk like that. Is a true love, or it defines actually. Nightingale defines the true love of student, but is it true love? A biggest question mark. And the other significant, each one is the character here. Even the tree, see, is the character here. And oak tree, oak tree also appears as the character, on which it Nightingale has its nest. And when Nightingale, after roaming everywhere in the garden, approaching all the rose trees, when it approached the last red rose tree, and what it told, that you have to give your life at the cost of the rose. And the bird came back and sat on the oak tree and started thinking, and it was in the deep thought, and it looks very dull and sad. Oak tree understood its feeling and read the feelings in his heart, and what's going on within the oak tree, Nightingale. And it asked, what happened? No, I have decided to sacrifice my life for the sake of love. And oak tree felt very sad, and once this nightingale committed, it definitely does. And it tells that, and please sing the song, last song for us. And it was in deep sorrow, and it starts singing. Now you can see the bubbles in the voice of nightingale when it started singing. This is what the expression given by the writer. Bubbles means no clarity in the sound when it starts singing. It is of course melodious, but it's full of pain. You can have that kind of experience when you see this. And this white rose tree, of course, is one of the major characters. First, Nightingale goes to the white rose tree, and approached. I am ready to sing a song. Please guide me. And this rose tree guided that to whom you should approach, and it tells that to go to my another brother, and there you can ask. It helps you. And then it goes to the yellow tree and approached, and it tells the same thing. And this white rose tree guided Nightingale to go to the red rose tree, which is behind the backside of student's room, beside the window. But it is unable to give the red rose, but you can try. This is how it has given the guidance, and that is how, how many of us give the best guidance when someone comes to us and ask, and we started thinking in different way. But these mutual understanding among them, in each and every part of nature. And this is the complete gist of the story, the rose and the nightingale, and what all the themes appear in the story. The theme of love, in the story, it is about the nature of love. In the beginning of the story, the student claims to be in love with the professor's daughter and is crying for a red rose because he will dance with her in the balls. This what I told you already. Moreover, the nightingale sacrifices her life for the sake of love, and she thinks that it is worth sacrificing her life. And this is a kind of love which appears in the story, you can see. Actually, the writer Oscar Wilde, is trying to convey that true love does exist, but people make it shallow and selfish. The student who thinks that he is in love does not truly know the meaning of love. The student, and he thought that that is the love, but it is not love at all. And when the girl rejects him and his red rose, and he calls her ungrateful and says that love is silly, unpractical, which shows him more as a materialistic person rather than a true lover. We all becoming a witness for such a kind of love in our society, which arouse in the among the youngsters or the teenagers. They, today they say, and they go and propose a girl or a boy, and if they reject, and they start quarreling to each other, and they lose the respect between them, and they blame to each other, and everything washed out. That's how. This is what the fate of love today among the teenagers. And materialism, another theme, I can find it out here. The theme of materialism, is explored by the human characters. The young student, professor's daughter, Chamberlain's nephew are totally materialistic in some sense. The student who claims to be in love is not really in love, rather he evokes rational sides of materialism. For him, red rose is worth more Nightingale's life and true love. When the nightingale sings a song, he says that her voice is beautiful but shallow and lacks any emotion, which shows that he is a materialistic person who is unable to feel deep emotions. On the other hand, his love professes for the sake of Professor's daughter also shows materialism by rejecting the rose, and she thinks that precious jewels are more worthy than a red rose. In the end of the story, the sacrifice of Nightingale goes wasted when the girl rejected the rose and the boy destroyed it. And the other theme of story is sacrifice. The theme of sacrifice is explored throughout Nightingale's self sacrifice in the theme of true love for the sake of helping others. When the nightingale sees the student crying for his sweetheart, her wholehearted belief in love compels her to help the boy. So he decides to help him and goes out of her house in search of a red rose. After searching for it everywhere, she comes to know about a way of getting the rose, and she has to give her heart's blood to a white flower and make it red. She believes that it is worth giving her life for the sake of true love. As we know, the nightingale has an unshakable belief in love, because of which she sacrifices her life, but at the end of the story, nobody appreciates her sacrifice, and it is wasted when the student throws the red rose in the gutter when it is destroyed. This is what the theme we can find out in the story. At the last part of my presentation, I go with the structural form of it, in a very systematic how different literary forms are used by a writer here. Simile, you can use the maximum use of similes you can find out. I just bring one of the examples for the similes. Passion has made his face like pale ivory, it is the indication that it is simile. Oxymoron, love that is perfected by death. And metaphor, blood of the bird being poured over white rose symbolically cooled the red rose. And paradox, for example, Nightingale was betrayed by the student for whom he sacrificed his life. And for personification, I can quote here, Nightingale is given human emotional qualities. And such kind of the better use of all the literary forms done by Oscar Wilde, and there you can see the richness of the language and how can he better convey it, and how his stories more appealing to the readers because of such kind of use of literary forms or the techniques what he has used in exploration of the story. With these I conclude. Hope you loved and enjoyed the story. Thank you so much.